Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I recently had a request to do a video on my tips for running and how I stay motivated to go running all the time and things like that, so I thought that I would sit down and film that for you today. I am not really a very good runner at all. I do struggle with running and I find it very difficult, but I am very motivated with running. I run 5 times a week most of the time as long as I'm not sick or anything like that. And I'm always pushing myself to run further or to run for longer, and through the process I have stumbled upon a few little tips and tricks which I will share with you today. These tips probably won't work for everyone, and please keep in mind that I'm not an expert or anything like that, but these are just things that have helped me and hopefully they will help some of you too. So my first tip is to invest in good quality running gear. So starting with the shoes, you definitely need a good pair of running shoes because running is high impact and you don't want to damage your feet or your legs, and you don't want to be any more sore at the end of your run than you need to be. So getting good quality shoes with the right support is very important. And a good pair of running shoes should last you a really long time. They should last you at least 2 or 3 years. So these are my shoes. I think they cost me about $250 and I've already had them for a year and they're showing no signs of wearing out anytime soon. So I got those from a place that specializes in running shoes. I can't remember exactly where it was from. I think it was Shoe Science. But basically you want to go to a place that knows what they're doing because they can find the right shoe for you. The place that I went to had a camera set up and you run towards and away from it, and then they slow it down and play it back, and they can tell like which way your feet are leaning when you run, and then they find a pair of shoes that will correct that for you. And when I first got this pair of running shoes, I felt like I was running on cushions. I'd seriously never had a better pair of shoes in my life. So in my opinion, shoes are the most important thing to invest in. If you're just going to spend a lot of money on one item for running, it should be your shoes. But if you can, I think that it's quite important to spend the money on the rest of your outfit as well. So up until recently, I was running in clothes either from the warehouse or from Kmart just because they were cheap, but honestly the material is so thick and it's not breathable whatsoever. So it's okay in winter kind of, but in summer it's just too hot. So I recently invested in some Nike gear. I mostly went with the dry fit line because it's really thin and breathable and it's going to allow you to really stay cool when you're going for a run. So this is one of the singlets that I got, and honestly it is the lightest material you could imagine, and I also got this in black as well. And I also have one of the shirts which just has like little sleeves that come down to about there, but it's the same material, and that one is orange. I just thought that orange was fun. And I also have 2 pairs of running shorts. So this is one of my pairs of running shorts. I'm not sure if you can see just how thin that material is. It really doesn't make you too hot at all. And then it's just got a thicker waistband just so that it stays in place a little bit better. So this is my other pair of shorts, and they are actually all from the dry fit line. This one's just like a hot pink, and they both come with a drawstring on the inside so that you can adjust them to the perfect size. They both come with a zip pocket on the back, which is great for taking your house key or your car key or something like that. But the main thing is that the material is really light and thin, and it just means that you don't overheat while you're running. And the other reason that I think good quality clothing is important is actually for motivation, because if you have spent the money to get yourself nice running clothes, then you're going to be more motivated to wear it and to go out and use it. I found that when I was wearing all clothing from Kmart, it didn't excite me and it didn't motivate me to go for a run, but now that I have more expensive clothing and I know that I'm not going to overheat while I'm running, I'm definitely more into it. So my next tip is for something that I personally really struggle with, and it is breathing. I don't know why, like it's never my legs that make me stop running. Like my legs get sore but I can deal with it. It's the fact that I struggle to breathe when I'm running, and I don't have asthma or anything like that. It's just what happens. So if you struggle with that as well, then hopefully this will help. So what I do is that when I start running, I try to breathe as slowly as I can. And as I've been running for a bit longer and my breathing becomes faster, I make sure I'm doing 2 steps breathing in, 2 steps breathing out. And that way I can regulate my breathing and I can still make sure that I'm getting enough air to continue, but my breathing is not getting too fast. And even doing that, I still find that eventually I am going to have to stop running because I don't have enough breath, but doing that helps me to run for longer before I reach that point. And it's just the best that I've been able to come up with so far. If you have a better tip for breathing while running, then let me know down below. But for me, that is what works the best, or what I've found to work the best so far. So my next tip is to do with timing. So it's all about finding a time that works for you. So I personally run in the mornings before I've had my shower, because I like to shower in the morning because it makes me feel fresh for the rest of the day. So I would rather do a morning run rather than shower in the morning, run in the evening, and then have to shower again because I don't want to go to bed all sweaty. And that was something that I had to work myself into, because I used to never be able to run on an empty stomach, so I would have to run after I'd had a meal and waited for an hour or two. So for me to run first thing in the morning, before I've showered, before I've even eaten, is something that took a little bit of time to get used to. And I know that a lot of other people like to run in the morning as well, either for the same reason or for whatever other reason. But don't let that dictate when you go for your run. If the morning is the only time that you have to go for a run, then sure, by all means work up to it. But if you know that it doesn't work for you, and you know that it never will work for you, then don't force it, just find another time. If you find that you can only run in the evening, then do that. If you can run before dinner, that's great. If you can run after dinner and you don't mind running a bit later at night, then that's fine. Otherwise, if you can only find time in the weekends, then it is what it is. Just run when you can. My point is basically, don't feel like you have to run at the same time that other people run, because we are all different, and just find a time that works for you. So my next tip is to do a loop track rather than a one-way track, because if you do a loop track, you end up where you started, which is either back at your house or back at your car, and you can drive home. Whereas if you do a one-way track, that's fine if you want to either run back the way you came, which means you're doubling up on scenery, which I personally think is boring, but if that's what you are happy with, then that's cool. Or you're going to get to the end of the track, you're going to finish your run, and you're going to have to walk back again, and you're going to be really, really tired. So I like to do a loop track so that I don't end up stranded at the end of a one-way track. I end up back where I started without having to double up on the scenery, and I can just do a longer loop as I improve. A loop track also means that, again, if you don't mind doubling up on scenery, you can go around more than once, and you can build up the amount of times that you go around the loop as you get better. And I just find it easier because you know that you're never too far away from your destination. You're not like going further and further away, and there's always the chance that you're going to run out of energy when you get there and you won't be able to get back to where you started. So that's why I like to do a loop track. Lots of people like to run with music, so if you are one of those people, then I definitely recommend getting a clip-on iPad, because when you hold your iPad while you're running, your whole arm and your shoulder gets really sore. That's what I found when I was running with an iPad. So if you can clip it onto your shorts, then it will help you avoid the shoulder pain, and hopefully the music will help you get distracted and run for a little bit longer. The other thing is scenery. If you don't like to see the same scenery all the time, then doing the same track every day is not going to be for you. So if you like to change it up, then maybe run at the beach one day, run at the park another day, run along the road another day, and just rotate through some different places that you like to run. So lots of people like to run with a friend, and a lot of people will recommend that you run with a friend to help your motivation and to help you run further and things like that. But honestly, if you feel like you're holding your friend back, or if you feel like your friend is holding you back, then it's going to do the opposite. You won't want to go for the run either because you feel bad for holding them back, or because you feel like you're not getting your proper run in because they're holding you back. So if you feel like that for either of those reasons, or for any reason that you don't actually want to run with a friend, then don't do it. If it's not helping, then it's not worth it, and honestly, there is nothing wrong with running by yourself. So my last kind of tip before we get into motivation is don't care what other people think. So by this I mean, firstly, people in the street, if they see you start running and stop running and think, oh, she hasn't run for very long, or if someone sees you go around the loop twice because they're standing at the bus stop in the middle of your loop and they think, oh, why is that person running around the same place twice? Just don't care. You're doing something for your fitness and for your health. It's got nothing to do with them. What are they doing? Standing at the bus stop. That's not going to help their fitness, but it is going to help yours running around the loop twice. So just don't give a crap what they're thinking about you. And the same goes for people at home. Like if you only go for a really short run, like a 5 or a 10-minute run, and the people at home are like, oh, you only went for 5-10 minutes. Don't give a crap. What are they doing? They're sitting at home doing nothing while you're going for your run. And your 5 or 10 minute run is better than nothing. Like, don't feel bad for going for a run. You're doing something good for your fitness. It doesn't matter how short your run is. It's still going to benefit your health and your fitness. So just try to think about it like that. It literally doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. What matters is that you know that you're helping your own fitness and you're doing something for yourself. So moving on to motivation, and aside from the obvious ones, which are health and fitness, because obviously that is why most people run, the main thing that motivates me is the fact that I then feel good for the rest of the day after I've been for a run. Emotionally, I feel happier and less stressed out for the day if I've been for a run in the morning. And I also feel more accomplished. You know, when you have those days when you feel like you did nothing and there was no point in even getting out of bed? Well, if you went for a run in the morning, then you did something for your health, you did something for your fitness, and it means that your day wasn't a waste. So I find that if I've been for a run in the morning, I have no regrets for the rest of the day. Obviously, it will be different if you go for your run later in the day, because obviously I run in the morning. But when I've run in the morning, the rest of the day is mine. I don't have to worry about what exercise I'm going to do later on, or having to find time later in the day to do exercise, because it's done already. And also I feel like I can eat whatever I want. Like, obviously I don't eat junk food all the time, otherwise I would be fat regardless of how many runs I go on. But I feel like I can have a biscuit, I can have a piece of cake, I can have, you know, a Tim Tam or whatever. Because it's okay to eat the foods that you like, you know. I don't want to restrict my food. That is something that I've always been really strict on. I never want to restrict the types of food that I eat. I love chocolate and that is never going to change. What I don't do is eat an entire block of chocolate in a day. So you've got to moderate yourself and you've got to balance it with healthy foods as well, and obviously with exercise. And I like exercise and I like food, so I don't feel like I have to compromise on the food because I make sure that the exercise balances it out, and I eat healthy most of the time anyway. So the reason that I run so many times a week, and the reason that I am motivated to run 5 times a week, is because it makes other activities easier for me. So I do a personal training session once a week, and if I have not run at all in the week leading up to my personal training session, it is so hard. I can't even do it at all. If I've run 3 times, it's still moderately hard. Like, I can barely do it. But if I've run 5 times in the week previously leading up to my PT, I have no problems with my PT. I have so much more energy and I just blast through the session. And it's the same with walks and hikes. I love going on hikes. I did the Tongariro crossing in January, which was an 8.5 hour walk, and just running makes everything else easier. My next tip for motivation is don't be put off if you see a lack of progress. You don't actually have to run further every time you run to get the benefits from running. Any run that you do will be helping. It doesn't matter how short, it doesn't matter if there's no progress at all, you're still getting all the benefits. Obviously you want to be pushing yourself to run further and to run for longer, but don't feel like you're wasting your time if it doesn't happen. Because you will obviously get more benefits the more that you run, but it doesn't mean that you're getting no benefits if you're never improving. You will improve eventually, you've just got to wait for it, and don't get put off if it doesn't happen in the first week or the first month or even the first 4 months. I don't know why I picked 4, that's such a random number. And my very last tip for motivation is another one about not letting yourself get put off, and it's if you skip a day out of your week, don't get put off, don't feel like the rest of your week is a waste, because it's not. Just get back into it when you can. And the same for if you get sick and you have to skip a whole week, which is what happens to me because I usually get sick for an entire week and have to skip a week of running. Look at it in the long run, like your overall fitness of your life is not going to suffer because you missed a week of running. Just don't be too hard on yourself, get back into it when you can, don't beat yourself up over it, you know, do what you can, run when you can, and live your life. So, you know, even if it's not a sickness, even if you're traveling or something like that, it's really hard to keep on top of it when you're traveling. So just don't worry about it. That's probably one of my best tips. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. It doesn't matter if you haven't run for the last week or the last month. That shouldn't affect what you do in the future. If you have time now, go for a run now. Just do what you can from now on and put the past behind you. So that is it, guys. Those are all my tips for running and for motivation to run. and I feel like this video was kind of all over the place. Like, I don't know how good my tips are, I just know that these are things that help me, so hopefully they will have helped you as well. Like I said at the start, I am not a good runner, but to be honest, like, any running is better than no running, so at least I'm getting out there and doing it. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Please leave me a comment down below letting me know either what your favourite tip was or if you've got any other tips so that we can all help each other. I know this wasn't my normal type of like beauty or makeup video, so please give it a thumbs up if you like this style of video and want me to do anything else along these sorts of lines. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!